Hey guys, what's up? Sivan here. In the process of making this video, I realized that there's so much to cover on this topic and it would end up being a very long video, which I know most people won't have the time or the attention to sit down and listen. So I broke this topic to small chunks of information, to shorter videos for it to be easier to watch. Now, we will get into numbers and facts because this is how I am. I'm into the science and the nature of things and how the body functions. I'm not one of those people that would hear a huge guy saying you need 300 grams of protein a day to grow, or you need to do that, or whatever. I need to know the why and how, and to test it on myself and check how it affects my body and my performance as an athlete. So if this topic is really important to you, bear with me because this video is going to help you with figuring out how much protein you need and with responding to people whenever they ask you how much protein you consume or if you get enough protein. So protein is probably the most discussed nutrient ever. We're surrounded with messages about protein on labels, on products, in the media, in the stores. It's everywhere. Advertising everywhere. The food industry, and especially the meat and the dairy industries, spend a lot of money every year to convince people that we must eat huge amounts of protein. We're being brainwashed, and part of the problem is also confusion. Protein is promoted to help people lose weight, while it is also promoted to help other people gain weight. There's so much information, fad diets, and nutrition advice available out there, it is hard to know what to believe. Protein is important for our body. It is vital for human consumption, but it is not more important than any other of the nutrients our body needs for optimal health and performance. So how much do we really need? If you look at the textbook of medical physiology, they talk about the necessary amount of protein we use every day. They talk about nitrogen balance. Gareth Davis also talks about it in his book Proteinaholic. The ingredient of protein that distinguishes it from carbs and fat is nitrogen. Scientists have used this fact to measure the amount of protein we metabolize by measuring the nitrogen we excrete in our urine and feces and comparing that to the amount of nitrogen we consume, a method known as nitrogen balance. Basically, scientists began by determining how much protein is lost per day by calculating nitrogen losses. That's how they determine how much protein must be consumed to balance how much is lost every day. They found that the average man is going to lose anywhere between 25 to 35 grams of protein per day. This estimate is the minimum daily requirement. That's the amount you need just to stay even. Nitrogen balance studies have shown that we are very good recyclers of amino acids. When we break down the muscle, we don't just flush all the valuable nitrogen down the toilet. Instead, we metabolize the proteins into amino acids that become available for reuse to make whatever new proteins are required. We have a very smart and efficient mechanism. Every single day we're breaking down hundreds of millions of cells, but we are very good at recycling those proteins, the amino acids. That's one of the reasons why we don't need so much protein. And it makes a lot of sense because if we look at our nature, we're tropical creatures and we're designed to eat plants. In nature, we would have eaten a lot more plants than what we eat nowadays, meaning that our diet consisted of much less protein. We didn't eat all the high protein foods we eat today, and definitely not in the amounts we eat them today. It's not that plants don't have protein, they have all the essential amino acids. We got all our amino acids from the plants that we ate in nature. They are present in every vegetable, in the fruits, in the seeds. Where do you think the rhino, the elephant, the gorilla get their protein, their amino acids? And they are a lot stronger than any human being. So where do these huge guys get their protein? From the plants they eat in nature. But comparing to what we eat today, with all the foods we were conditioned to believe are a good source of protein by the meat industry and the dairy industry and the egg industry, they will tell you that green leafy vegetables, for example, are not considered a good source of protein. You do have to eat more in volume to get enough protein. It's not enough to eat a leaf or two, but because protein was coming into the body in small amounts, that's why we are so efficient in recycling proteins, so that we'll always have enough to provide amino acids for the different functions and processes in the body. So we talked about the necessary amount we need just to stay even. Now, let's look at some common recommendations for protein intake. The World Health Organization recommends that men and women should get 0.66 grams of protein per kilogram of lean body mass. For an individual adult, that's going to be about 5 to 6% of the calories coming from protein. This would mean on average around 38 grams of protein a day for a man and about 28 grams of protein a day for a woman. This is not that far from the amount mentioned in the textbook. Now, according to the US government's RDA, the recommended amount of protein is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of lean body mass per day. At the minimum, depends on your lean body mass, that would equal to as little as around 8 to 9% of your daily calories. An important fact I have to mention, the US government created RDAs during World War II to protect US citizens from possible wartime shortages. The RDAs are not minimums or average requirements. Instead, they represent an optimal amount. In other words, the average requirement needed is far lower, but they wanted to make sure that the amount they suggested was the amount needed for over 98% of the country. So this number includes a safety margin for individual differences. The body's needs are lower for most people. Another thing to remember is that what determines the amount of protein you need is lean body mass and not body weight. There is often a misunderstanding, a mistake people make, that inevitably leads to dangerous overestimate of protein requirements. Take for example, a man who weighs 150 kilograms with 80 kilograms of fat. This person's lean body mass is 70 kilograms. Therefore, for example, the correct RDA calculation is 56 grams. If we made a mistake of assuming he needs 0.8 grams of a protein per kilogram of body weight, we would recommend this person to eat 120 grams of protein daily, which is a lot. Now, the bodybuilding and fitness industry is full of recommendations ranging from 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight and up to 2 and sometimes even 3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. I see people eating 200 and 300, 350 grams of protein a day, which is a crazy amount. The most common recommendation I often hear from fitness gurus, which I'm sure some of you probably heard too, is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day, which is about twice your body weight in kilogram, 2.2. The belief that you should take in 1 gram per pound of body weight has become so deeply ingrained in the fitness world that people just never question it. You just hear this huge guy is eating this amount of protein, so hey, maybe I need to do the same. They never stop to ask how the body functions, how it's going to affect our body. We always think that the more the better. There are so many studies showing protein is good for you, so I understand why it's hard not to think more of it is better. And it's obvious that the supplement companies would want to make you believe you need more protein than you really do, because that's how they make their money. But don't get me wrong, I think there are some great supplement companies out there who actually care about the health of their customers and try to provide solutions with the products. But most of the companies I've seen put horrible ingredients in their products. Now, what determines how much protein a person needs? The amount of protein for any individual depends on many factors, like the individual needs, your lean body mass, age, sex, your physical activity level and training intensity, and the state of your health, genetic disorders, utilization efficiency, and so on. So how much protein do we really need? I'm going to talk about the average sedentary person and athletes. So probably for a sedentary person, 0.66 grams per kilogram of lean body mass will be more than enough. It is closer to our true needs. This should be an average of 6 to 8% of the total calories. And eating a varied whole food plant-based diet will naturally provide that amount of protein, if not more, from the total calories without any special effort. Up to 10% is like the max of what we really need. And what about athletes and bodybuilders? That was my question too. It's not the average sedentary person, so how much do we need? So I want you to think about this. What is the time during our life that we have the greatest need for protein? It's the time we make the greatest amount of growth, which is during the first 2 years of life. This time in life, when we're growing the fastest, is in infancy, in which we double in size. Now, if we look at the amount of protein we eat during that time, actually all we eat is about 5 to 6% of the calories that the infant is consuming comes from protein. Breast milk is 5 to 6% protein. The rest is carbs and fats. So that should tell you a little bit more about our nutritional needs. We double in size with only 5 to 6% of the calories coming from protein. Protein has a lot of roles in our body. We all know that one of the main functions of protein in the body is to support growth and to help build the tissues, but human's milk has the lowest protein content, so it gives a sense of the protein requirement for humans. Eating more protein doesn't mean building more muscle. The protein in food doesn't cause muscles to grow. It does supply the building blocks of muscles, but what causes muscles to grow is how you use them, the load, the intensity. From the book Principles of Anatomy and Physiology, once dietary intake of protein is adequate, eating more protein will not increase bone or muscle mass. Only a regular program of forceful weight-bearing muscular activity accomplishes that goal. As you increase your lean muscle tissue, your body will require a little bit more protein than usual, but you don't need to go crazy and start loading protein now. The needs will be a little bit higher for very active people, but these people require additional calories, and the protein needs can easily be met through the larger intake of food. Probably getting the RDA of 0.8 grams per kilogram of lean body mass is more than sufficient. 1 gram per kilogram is like if you really want to be generous, and that's what I'm eating for the last few years, 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of lean body mass. We don't need more than that. A diet consisting of 7 to 10% or at most 15% of the calories from protein should be adequate for athletes. And I like to talk about grams and less about percentages because the amount of calories you eat may change according to your goals. The percentages go higher or lower, depends on the total amount of calories you consume. So, for example, let's take a female who weighs 60 kilograms and her goal was to lose body fat. So she's eating 1600 calories, for example. She has 20% body fat, so that means 12 kilograms of fat. That leaves us with 48 kilograms of lean body mass. So 48 kilograms multiplied by 0.8, it's almost 38 and a half-ish. That means 154 calories, and that will be 9%, almost 10% of the calories coming from protein. But let's say that she now wants to gain muscle mass, she will eat more calories, around 2000, maybe 2200 calories. So in that case, this amount of protein is going to be around 7 to 8% of the total calories. See what's happening here with the percentages? A common recommendation in the bodybuilding and fitness industry is a diet that is high in protein, which can get to around 25 to 35% of the diet coming from protein. Consuming this amount of protein is shown to have no benefits. There is no scientific evidence that high protein diets provide an additional advantage. And if you dig deeper, you'll find that it actually has negative effects on our health, which I'll talk more about in another video. Something I heard recently, which I really liked, it goes like this: you can't be strong and be dying on the inside. This is so true. So this is what I do. I know a lot of people are afraid to consume less protein because they think it might ruin their results or their gains. I was there too. I strongly believe that we need this amount of protein, and if you eat less, you won't gain muscle mass. But I was so eager to find the truth, and I decided to research and test it. And for the last almost 5 years, I've been on around 7 to 15% protein in my diet. I've gained muscle mass, I improved my performance, so no one can tell me it doesn't work because I've experienced it on my own body. And my coaches don't know how I do it. They were all taught a certain way. I was taught that way too. And this is another reason why I do what I do, to show people the truth and inspire them to test for themselves. Really, to test for themselves. I feel so much better than when I was on a higher protein diet. I keep seeing results, keep getting stronger, really don't need that much protein. The funny thing is that most Americans get about twice the amount of protein they need, but they get less than half the amount of fiber they need. We always talk first about the protein. The conversation is always about protein. Am I getting enough protein? How much protein do you consume? You know, why are we asking that question in the first place? It just proves how brainwashed we are. The Institute of Medicine recommends that men should eat 38 grams of fiber a day and women should eat 25 grams of fiber a day. But studies show that today people only eat about 15 grams of fiber a day. People are extremely deficient in fiber. So why does nobody ever ask, where do you get your fiber from? Just something to think about. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below, what would you like to see more? Do you like longer videos or shorter ones? If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and do it so you won't miss on new videos. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!